South Jamaica, baby, they made me to be the greatest. Serving the deed of my creators, fresh off of my high haters. It's the king again, Magdalene, chauffeured, bragging and boasting.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Dollars. It's another day, another dollar video. Welcome to the channel. And I'm going to be reacting to 10 conspiracies that turned out to be true. Now, this should be a good one. You know, I always find it funny how there's people in this world that when you tell them things and they look at you like you're crazy, it's like you can see the truth, but nobody around you that you care for and that you love and you want to wake up, they don't see the truth. That's always the hardest part. It's the most difficult. I'm sure y'all got family members and friends that y'all try to show them things and they look at you like you bugging, but it's actually true. You know, the truth is more weirder than the actual, fiction. You know, and I always say it's like, it's funny how we love all these movies and animes and comic books and all these crazy stories, but the truth about what we live in is the greatest story. You know what I'm saying? We're living the greatest story, and good and evil. You know what I'm saying? It's basically going to come down to that in this world very, very soon. Yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into this. And some of y'all don't even know that conspiracy theorist was created by, the term conspiracy theorist was created by the CIA because there was so many people telling the truth and they want to make them look like they're crazy. It is what it is, man. I feel like you're crazy if you still can't see what the hell's going on in this world.
He had a blank look in his eye. He didn't know.
They used to say aliens is a conspiracy theory. Now the government's telling you it exists.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true.
Oh, there's the president sitting there signing a document. What the heck were we worried about?
For this list, we'll be going over the strangest and most famous conspiracy theories that were actually conspiracy facts. Is there a theory
I'm a conspiracy realist, okay?
Was a load of baloney?
Not a theorist, a realist.
Number 10, Roswell cover-up.
This was like in the 40s, the aliens and shit.
Crashed down to Earth in Roswell, New Mexico. Theories that it was an alien spacecraft have pervaded pop culture for over a half a century since.
Everybody thinks that Roswell was the first sighting of a UFO in the United States, and that's bull roar.
The U.S. Air Force claimed that the object was merely a weather balloon, only added fuel to the fire.
Sure.
And the conspiracy theorists were right. It was no weather balloon, and there was a cover-up. But it wasn't an alien ship either, probably. The object was a high-altitude balloon, launched as part of Project Mogul. These balloons were intended to detect sound waves from Soviet atomic bomb tests. During the Cold War, the U.S. military couldn't exactly be honest about that in the papers. Now, whether you think that's another cover story...
Yeah, I don't buy that either.
This better not be another damn Russian spy job.
Number 9, Big Tobacco's big lie.
There's extensive use of this technology, which is called ammonia chemistry, that allows for nicotine to be more rapidly absorbed in the lungs and therefore affect the brain and central nervous system.
Smoking causes lung cancer and a lot of other adverse health effects.
I don't know how people can smoke cigarettes, bro. My mom is a smoker. I remember when I was a kid, I would tell her, look, for Christmas, I don't want a gift. I just want you to quit smoking. And she would say, oh, yeah, promise me, and still smoke. Like, but the truth of the matter is that cigarettes are disgusting, harmful. You're killing yourself. What pleasure do people get in cigarettes, bro? Now, I used to smoke weed, a lot of it. Even weed has some things that are bad to it. Smoking in general, the smoke inhalation is bad for your throat. You could get cancer, regardless whether it's weed or cigarettes. But, I can understand smoking weed over cigarettes is natural. Get what I'm saying? This shit is basically rat poison in your lungs. I don't get it.
Scientists demonstrated this definitively in the 1950s. However, public opinion wavered for decades, with sources springing up to generate controversy and debate. Some suspected that the tobacco industry was suppressing and distorting the facts through
they got billions of dollars
and it eventually came out
to hide information.
Together, the world's largest tobacco companies initiated Operation Berkshire to generate fake controversy and debate. Big Tobacco knew that smoking caused cancer and that nicotine was addictive. They decided not to make cigarettes less harmful because addiction made them a lot of money.
Made them rich.
What we did here is confidential, not for public scrutiny, any more than one's family matters.
You're threatening my family now, too.
Just goes to show, where there's smoke...
That's like with pharmaceutical companies. They got billions of dollars. If you're on a campaign that's giving them bad publicity, who's to say that they don't have enough money to make you disappear? I believe that happened. Look at that situation with all these natural holistic health doctors the past couple of years that were mysteriously being found dead, bro. They were claiming that they were self-deleting. A bunch of holistic natural health doctors were suddenly just self-deleting, bro. I remember that shit in the newspapers. And it was always odd to me, like, what's going on? Recently, we had the crypto entrepreneurs, a bunch of dudes that had crypto companies and a lot of money with crypto. Suddenly, they just dying. Like, I don't get it.
There's often fire.
I do get it.
See how camels agree with your throat.
I don't see how y'all don't get it.
Mild and good tasting a cigarette can be.
Number 8, the White Sox through the World Series. The
I heard about this one.
Are on record for having one of the longest,
but I wasn't familiar with it.
World Series at 87 years. However, they weren't always known for their bad luck. Back in the late 1910s, the Sox won in 1917, and they even had a wonder like Shoeless Joe Jackson on the team. Yet, rumors during the 1919 series held that the games were fixed. The White Sox lost the series, but the rumors persisted into the next year.
The mob?
Eventually, a grand jury found evidence that 8 players, including Jackson, though his role is disputed, were involved in a conspiracy to receive money in exchange for throwing the series.
I guess the money, $10,000 back in them days, bro, that was a lot of money, bro. So I guess they weren't even making that money as players. Right? They weren't rich back then, sports players. So I guess 10,000 compared to what his salary was as a baseball player was more than enough for them to throw a World Series.
I think the Black Sox players saw a high reward for what they were doing. They could make as much as their yearly salary in 1 week for fixing the World Series.
While a trial found them not guilty, they were nevertheless banned from the league permanently. Number 7.
That's messed up. You're not guilty, but you still get punished?
The Church of Scientology is infamously touchy about any criticism of their organization.
I didn't mean anything by it. I don't even know L. Ron Hubbard.
Their influence over celebrities...
Wait a minute. Back to the last one, right? Because I just thought about it. This video is 10 conspiracies that turned out to be true. And he just said that they found them players not guilty, that they didn't do nothing wrong. So how did that conspiracy end up being true? I don't get it.
It is well known, but theories about their influence over the government are also out there. And
Scientology?
Scientologists really did infiltrate
the cult.
government. In the 1970s, at least 5,000 members of the organization conducted espionage on government agencies and private organizations. And this wasn't a fringe element either. The founder's wife, Mary Sue Hubbard, pleaded guilty and went to prison. It was one of the largest scale infiltrations of the U.S. government in history.
Wow.
All of this was done with the aim of destroying evidence that painted Scientology in an unfavorable light. It arguably had quite the opposite effect.
Boy, those Scientologists, they can be pretty sensitive.
That's how deep
Number
they
6,
are? They was able to infiltrate the
FBI
government?
Spied on political activists.
All power to all the people.
Those involved in...
It's funny because recently for Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, the FBI was on social media like praising Martin Luther King, but then somebody was calling them out like, you guys spied on him, harassed him, gang stalked him, and now you want to, you know, act like you guys were supporters and cared about Martin Luther King. It's hilarious, bro. The hypocrisy.
Political protests and other activist causes are often paranoid that they're being watched. And they should be, because it's happened before.
And they use your own people to do it too, to infiltrate you.
Hotel rooms, FBI reports, those are pieces of information that we shouldn't have.
From the late 50s to the early 70s, the FBI engaged in illegal surveillance, infiltration, and disruption of protest movements.
Not just MLK, but
deemed subversive.
Malcolm X too.
This country was. We were trying to reveal the truth about segregation.
These ranged from independence movements to civil rights movements to feminist organizations. They even had John Lennon, the former Beatles frontman, under watch. While this program, named COINTELPRO, was abolished in 1971, others may have taken its place.
This represents the darkest part of the Bureau's history.
Number 5, the first female U.S. president. While the United States has yet to elect a woman to the office of president,
thank God. Now let me stop.
Anyway, some theorize that a woman has assumed the duties of the office already. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson suffered a debilitating stroke. This left
so his wife was secretly
partially
controlling
paralyzed
everything.
with some impaired judgment.
If I don't help him be president, what a kind of wife am I?
For over a year, Wilson's wife Edith aided him in governing the country to the point where she was basically performing his job in all.
So we already had a female president, y'all. We don't need another one.
A close secret. And Wilson herself denied that she made executive decisions until her death.
So he's like sitting there and they like move his arm and then they just release that to the press, and that's how dumb people were back then.
Number 4, the government is spying on you. The common refrain for cranks and conspiracy nuts for decades has been that the government is watching our every move. And it's not completely wrong.
I mean, that's not hard to believe, right? I'm sure the people that don't believe in conspiracy theories can believe this one. This one don't seem too far-fetched, right? You know, they have all this fucking technology that tracks what you're watching, everything that you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like your web cameras, like I'm using, your TVs, your phones, Alexa. Come on, bro. Like, I know we believe this one at least.
Rise of smartphones and the internet, the government has unprecedented access to information on its citizens.
They're following us.
In the
then they sell your data.
The Bush administration initiated far-reaching mass surveillance programs, both foreign and domestic. The NSA's activities in the years since have
That's what my boy Snowden was trying to warn us about.
History, emails, metadata, text messages, you name it. Edward Snowden revealed a lot of this info with...
Bro, I believe they have a whole freaking psychological profile on every one of us, bro. Like, they probably know you better than you know yourself. Like, they know what's your favorite food. They know your color, your habits. Like, they can predict. I bet you the profiles they got, they have some type of AI that can predict your life, bro. Like, if this guy continues living like this, he'll die by this age. You know, if this person continues doing what he's doing, he'll be successful. And they probably could use that AI to weed out the undesirables. And what I mean by undesirables is like any citizen they feel is not a use to society, that they don't need. You know, that's not contributing to the society that they want to push forward with the New World Order. That's what I believe. I'm usually right.
With his leaks, including how other governments were also implicated.
Even if you send it to somebody within the United States, your wholly domestic communication between you and your wife can go from New York to London and back and get caught up in the database.
Few believe that in the time since, governments have just given up.
Sure.
Number 3, false justification for war.
False flag.
In August 1964, the USS Maddox fired a warning shot as 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats approached the Gulf of Tonkin. After the torpedo boats opened fire, the Maddox sank all 3. 2 days later, the report of a second attack prompted President Lyndon B. Johnson to authorize further military action in Vietnam.
So wait a minute.
Years, people questioned
the government attacked these Vietnam boats, and then another attack supposedly happened, and they used that as justification to start the Vietnam War. Like, that's crazy, bro. But that's not far-fetched because there's something called Operation Northwoods. This is a declassified op that anybody could look up, and it's facts that the CIA wanted to do they wanted to stage a hijacking of airplanes and blow them up. And they wanted to blame Cuba to justify invading Cuba, but JFK, who was the president at that time, he didn't want to sign off on it. A year later, he gets whacked. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm gonna say.
This justification.
At one point, the commander of the ship said, "We're not certain of the attack." Another point, they said, "Yes, we're absolutely positive." And
it wasn't even an attack, but they just wanted to justify going to war.
We're certain it happened.
It was eventually revealed that the second attack was imaginary, based on wrongly interpreted communications intercepts. It wasn't the last dubious rationale for war. In 1990,
that wasn't a mistake,
George
bro. That was
H.
calculated.
Bush leveraged false testimony crafted by a public relations firm to initiate the Gulf War. Over a decade later, his son would falsely claim that Iraq
weapons of mass
WMDs
destruction
to justify an invasion.
The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder.
Number 2, Watergate scandal. Perhaps the most well-known political conspiracy of all time, the Watergate scandal was unthinkable when it occurred.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook.
The scandal began when Republican President Richard Nixon's administration illegally wiretapped and broke into the Democratic National Committee headquarters.
We don't know who ordered the burglary, and we don't really
see. Now that's crazy, because that's basically a political opponent. You're going into their headquarters and wiretapping. You're using your power to do something illegal and tap your enemies, your political opponents, to see what they're up to. Like, that's definitely crazy. I never really knew too much about the Watergate and why it was a big deal, but now thinking about it, that's like if, Democrats would have tapped Trump's house and, the spy, you're not supposed to do that.
really know what the burglars were up to that night.
Their aim was to acquire information about Nixon's opposition in the forthcoming election. The arrest of the perpetrators led to attempts by Nixon and his administration
He got impeached,
to cover
right?
up their involvement. However, mounting evidence and leaks soon exploded into a scandal that has become a byword for political disgrace, leading to Nixon's resignation.
One of the things that's so hard to recreate and understand now, looking back, is there was no sense that the president could lie to the American people.
Things have changed.
Well, you know what though? Like, I feel like the Democrats are now doing the same things too, bro. The last election, bro, people believe that it was stolen, right? I believe it was. Like, I believe it was bullshit, but I mean, I don't want to say too much political shit, because last time I did on YouTube, bro, they did some funny shit. So, you gotta be careful. But I could just say, like, that shit is happening now more than ever. Like, a lot of these apps that we use, social media, is run by the left. They have people in high positions that are left-leaning that are making policies at these social media apps. That's why there's a lot of censorship. That's why I'm happy Elon brought Twitter. We need somebody to buy YouTube, because YouTube is starting to censor Facebook. All these apps are run by the left, and like, they suppress information if you're like right-leaning. If you're they don't want you to reach as many people as possible. So they'll censor you, shadow ban you. They do all this stuff.
Garrett, things have changed today.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell.
Yeah, what he said, man. Drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Appreciate it.
Notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. The CIA conducted mind control experiments. The idea
MK
of a
Ultra
government agency trying to control people's minds might sound like science fiction, but it really happened.
Manchurian Candidate.
Men to these apartments.
Watch that movie.
And then once the men were in the apartments, they were dosed with LSD, and then they were basically studied by CIA scientists.
In the 1970s, a commission on the CIA's activities within the U.S. exposed the existence of Project MK Ultra, a secret program that used drugs and torture to manipulate its victims' mental states.
The funny thing is, people know that this is what happened, and they still have trust in their government. And you still listen to what they tell you. Go be a good little sheep. Follow our every order. Oh, it's that time of the year again. Time to get be a good little sheep, man. And you still think your government has your best interests.
Kool-Aid was spiked with LSD.
The Tuskegee experiment. Look at that.
Experiments were conducted
All types
with
of shit.
prisoners in secret detention centers around the world, as well as within American universities, hospitals, and prisons. The CIA also funded brutal experiments involving electroconvulsive therapy in Montreal,
Shock
Canada.
therapy.
Victims of MK Ultra included Ken Kesey and Allen Ginsberg. It's one of the darkest conspiracies out there, and we still don't know the full extent of it. Did you?
And that is true, because Clinton even apologized. I think when he was president, he apologized for those experiments that the government was conducting on citizens. So again, for all you bozos out there that think every conspiracy is a lie, or like, don't get me wrong, there's certain things you hear is like, come on now. But a lot of these conspiracies are true. You just gotta do the research, bro. Time to unplug from the matrix, man. Take the red pill. Anyway, it's your boy Dollars. I'm a holla. If you enjoyed this reaction, please drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I'm off this.
For my time goes by, they gon' raise a nigga jersey in the sky. Treat a nigga right, big dreaming on my life. Shorty wanna get some air, I go and get her when I fly. Taking off on these niggas I retire. The minute I catch fire, I smoked them all before, just revisiting the high.